My name is Hannah and this is my no-buy year. I'm a little bit nervous to film this video. I haven't broken my no-buy or anything, not in the least. I've been very strict and I've been very compliant. I'm in my 7th month and going strong. But I have spent more money within the confines of my rules than I expected, and more money than I'm happy with. In this video, I'm going to delve into the nitty-gritty of what I have purchased within the rules of my no-buy year and how much it has all ended up costing me by about halfway through the year. And it just feels weird. It's weird to share it. I think it will be important information. It's been really interesting for me to find out. It's been very revealing. It's been a little bit of a wake-up call, and I can't help but think that it will be interesting and possibly useful to many of you. So I'm making the video. I'm gonna spill the tea, but I wouldn't say I'm ashamed. I'm just a little bit squeamish. It's weird to talk so specifically about money on the internet. And even though I believe that most of you share my interest in beauty and possibly my spending habits, I know that there are a lot of people in the world, and a lot of people who are my friends and acquaintances and family, who would be scandalized to find out how much money I've spent on skincare and beauty this year or any year. So it makes me feel kind of exposed to be talking about it. But I don't want my beauty spending to be a dirty little secret anymore. I think that that feeling that it's something that should be private or that I have to keep private for my own pride is part of what has contributed to my overspending over the years, because I feel like nobody has to know, nobody wants to know. I don't want anyone to know, and therefore it's been easier to allow myself to get out of control in that secret space. So I'm resisting the urge to be vague about how much I've spent at Sephora this year and what I've spent it on. Anyway, if you're going to judge me, go ahead and judge me. But as Rich Lux says, judge me kindly. Judge me kindly, girl. I want to preface by saying that I am a real Sephora faithful. I buy almost all of my skincare and makeup at Sephora. I just really like Sephora. The reason that I choose Sephora over other sources isn't what this video is about, so I'm not going to go into detail about it. But it's important to say, just so you know, that this video and its contents, even though it's only about what I've bought at Sephora, it is a pretty accurate representation of everything I've bought this year. It doesn't cover everything, but this is really the big picture. This is really pretty accurate. It tracks my spending, it tracks my habits, and it accounts for the vast majority of what I've bought. So to gather the data for this video, I did something that I suggest all of you do, and I'm going to tell you exactly how to do it right now. Sephora does track this information for you, and they bury it a little bit on the website. I think that they don't particularly want people finding out the total of their yearly spend, because for many of us it's kind of horrifying. But it's there for you if you want to see it, and here's how you can find it. Go onto the Sephora homepage, make sure you're logged in, and then hover your mouse over your profile name in the upper right hand corner so that you get the drop-down menu. Once you get the drop-down menu, click on Beauty Insider. All of your Beauty Insider information will come up, and you want to go ahead and click on View All Activity at the top of the page so that you can see everything you've bought over the past year and not just the past couple of orders. Once you click on View All Activity, it will show your yearly purchases in points, but you want to see them in dollars. So go ahead and click Spend at the top of the page, and then the truth will be revealed. So at the top of my Beauty Insider account is my current total, my yearly spend at Sephora for the year of 2018. And the current total is $1,051. To make VIB Rouge, you have to spend $1,000 in the calendar year. So when I passed $1,000, when I placed my most recent order, I renewed my VIB Rouge status. And then I decided to go all the way back down in the system to the beginning of the year and figure out how I let this happen. Every purchase on this list is sanctioned within the rules of my no-buy year. And if you're not familiar with my rules, you should go back and watch my introduction video. I'll throw a link to it up in the cards. Going through my Sephora spending history for the year of 2018, I was able to suss out exactly where those $1,000 came from. And I really wanted to know because I don't feel like I've been buying that much stuff. All I've been doing is replacing products one category at a time when they run out. So in order to spend less in the future, I need to understand my behavior. I need to understand what I'm spending appropriately on, what I'm overspending on, what I'm comfortable spending on, what I'm uncomfortable spending on, etc. And I'm going to go through order by order, product by product, and share my findings with you. My very first order of the year was on January 22nd of 2018, and it was for $37. What I purchased in that order was a replacement for my go-to brow gel, which is the Givenchy Mr. Groom Brow Gel, and I also ordered 1 packet of Shiseido facial cottons. Now, the Brow Groom is a staple product for me, but it's $27, and at this point in my no-buy year, I've already replaced it twice. I have enough data at this point to know that it lasts 4 months, which means that it's costing me $81 a year. That seems like a lot to me. That's more than I expected, and it makes me think that I would really like to find a less expensive brow gel, whereas I had previously been very happy with my luxury brow gel. $27 didn't seem like too much to spend. A $37 Sephora order doesn't feel like it's breaking the bank compared to certain other orders that I've placed. So it never really bothered me that I was shelling out $27 for my brow gel. And that is also because it is the only, I repeat, the only brow gel I have ever found that holds my incredibly wiry and stubborn brow hairs in place all day. My brows are important to me, and if I never find another product that works as well as this one, I will continue buying it. I will spend $81 a year to keep my brows fluffy, but I would really like to find something else that works, and I am going to start looking. I might not be able to sample anything new during this year, but it will be one of my first projects in the year of 2019 to see if I can find a less expensive brow gel that works just as well as Givenchy Mr. Brow. The Shiseido facial cottons cost $10, and a single packet lasts me 2 or 3 months. That's ending up costing me about $40 or $50 a year, and that is a little bit too much for me. I use the Shiseido cottons pretty liberally. I tend to reach for them all the time when I'm sitting at my vanity. There's a big pile of them right there. They're so fluffy, they're so lovely and abundant, and I'll grab one just to kind of wipe off my fingers or clean up a little corner of my eye. When I did this math and I realized I was spending $50 a year on these cottons, I realized that I need to cut back. I'm not necessarily going to start buying other facial cottons. I'm just going to start figuring out ways that I can use these in a more economical way. The first thing I'm going to do is go through and cut them all in half, which is what Stephanie Nicole does. I always say I'm gonna do that, and then I never seem to find the time to do it. But this number on the screen has lit a fire underneath me. I want to keep buying the Shiseido facial cottons, but I don't want to be buying 5 packs a year. I think it's well within my power to go through them half as fast and reduce my yearly spend on facial cottons to at least $25, if not $20 a year. My second order of the year was for $83. I placed this order in order to replace a product that I had run completely out of, which is my moisturizing sunscreen. It's something that I use every day. It's the Perricone MD Photoplasma Broad Spectrum SPF 30. This is one of my most important skincare products, sunscreen, and it's also one of the most cosmetically elegant products that I have in my collection. It's one of my absolute favorites. Unfortunately, it's $75 a jar, and I have now replaced it twice during my no-buy year, which means I have the data to have figured out that it lasts me approximately 3 months. That's $300 a year. I find that number staggering and a little bit troubling. It leaves me very torn about this product. On the one hand, I feel like that's too much, and there are other sunscreens out there that cost less and that will be fine. But on the other hand, it's really hard for me to find a sunscreen that I like. This is in fact the only sunscreen for the face that I've ever enjoyed using. I'm really picky about sunscreen. It needs to be a mineral sunscreen, not a chemical sunscreen. And it needs to be something that doesn't interfere with my other skincare products, that lays well on my face, that doesn't mess up my makeup, that doesn't leave a white cast. To me, this is the only one. It's the best. Sunscreen is really, really important. I was gonna say it's really important to me, but that's understating the matter. It's really, really important. And I know myself, and I know that if I had a sunscreen for my face that I didn't actually love using as a product, I would skip it sometimes. It's hard for me to force myself to use products that I don't love, especially in this kind of role, utilitarian products. I do hope that there is a less expensive sunscreen out there that I will enjoy using as much as I use this one. And I'm going to start casually looking for that. And then once 2019 rolls around, I'll start being more proactive about looking for it because I'll be more free to try things out without being forced to use them up. The Cinema Secrets brush cleaner was just a little travel-sized bottle. I don't use very much of it and I don't use it very often. It was $8 and I think that it will come out to be about $20 a year. That's totally worth it. So that order brought my yearly spend up to $120, and then in the middle of February, I placed my third order. My third order was for an oil cleanser. It was the Fresh Sea Berry Skin Nutrition Oil, and it was $42. I used it up. I learned that it lasts about 2 months. That would be $250 a year, and that is way, way too much for me to spend on a first cleanse. That was the last bottle of this product that I ordered this year. When it ran out, I started looking for less expensive alternatives. And that brought my yearly total up to $162. My fourth order was at the beginning of March. I spent $38 and I bought the Belif True Cream Aqua Balm. I love this product. I love the Belif True Cream Aqua Balm. I bought it to be a night cream. I had run completely out of night cream at this point, but I learned by observing how quickly I went through this product when I only had 1 jar of night cream. I learned that I use a lot of night cream. I used it up way too fast. I think the jar lasted me a month or a month and a half. It's partly my fault because I used up so much and I went through it so fast. But even so, that prices out to be between $300 and $450 a year. I like using a lot of night cream, and rather than scaling back on how much I use every night, I would rather find a less expensive moisturizer to be in that role. I didn't buy that product again because I had used it up so fast. Even though I love it, it was too expensive for me in that role. My fifth order was a gift. I sent my cousin a bunch of things from Sephora for her birthday, and I spent a total of $110 on her. So those $110 account for some of my progress towards my VIB Rouge status. It's not all stuff that I bought for myself. Her birthday was at the beginning of March, and when I placed that order for her, it brought my yearly spend up to $310. In the middle of March, I placed an order for $105. It was when I replaced my bottle of Sunday Riley Good Genes, one of my all-time favorite skincare products I felt I just couldn't live without. I just ran out of Good Genes, which means I can calculate that it lasts about 4 months. And that's $315 a year. It might be worth it. I'm really on the fence about this one. My feeling is that I'm loath to live without Good Genes because I do think that it does amazing things for my skin. I think it's one of the top 4 or 5 products that I use that's responsible for keeping my skin plump and glowing and healthy. But 3 bottles a year is too much. $315 a year is too much. So I need to reconsider how often I use it and how I buy it. One option would be to buy the biggest bottle. I've been buying the second to biggest bottle, which is 1 ounce for $105. I can't remember exactly how it prices out, but I'm sure that if you buy the largest bottle, you save a little bit of money. So I could go ahead and invest in 1 big bottle, and then I could try to make it last longer. I could use it fewer times per week. I could use a half pump instead of a full pump when I do use it. I think I can probably stretch my Good Genes and get my yearly expenditure on that product down under $200. But I'm really glad that I learned how long it lasts me and that I learned how much it costs overall, because before this, I wouldn't have known to do that. I wouldn't have known that I want to do that. I would have just thought, this is an amazing product, it must be worth the price, I'm gonna buy it, I'm gonna use it, and then I'm gonna buy it again. Right now, I'm not feeling that excited about repurchasing good jeans. I'm not feeling that excited about spending the money, especially if I'm gonna spring for the big bottle. I'm toying with the idea of trying out another bottle of the Ordinary's lactic acid, maybe the higher strength version of the lactic acid, and seeing if I can live with that. If not, if it doesn't do anything close to what good jeans does for me, then I will reinvest. So that bottle of good jeans in the middle of March brought my yearly spend up to $415. And the order I placed directly after that wasn't actually for makeup or skincare, it was for a bottle of vitamins. I take a supplement from the brand Hum Nutrition. It's their Cleanse supplement, and I like it because it has zinc in it, which I think is one of the minerals that helps my body to keep acne at bay. And it also has some matcha powder in it, which gives me a nice kick of energy when I take my vitamins at the beginning of the day. It is a bougie supplement. It's $25 a bottle, and if you take it every day, if I remember to take it every day, then a bottle really only lasts a month. Realistically, a bottle lasts me about a month and a half, because sometimes I forget to take it, sometimes I don't feel like I really need it, and I do have other plain zinc pills that I can take on the days when I'm not taking this. But even at $25 every 1.5 months, that's $200 a year. That is a lot. That's contributing significantly towards my overall yearly spend at Sephora. And even though it's not a skincare or makeup product, so it's not technically included in my no-buy year, I'm going to give some serious thought as to how frequently I want to buy that supplement and whether I really want to be taking it every day at that price. I don't like the thought of going without it. I really, really like it, and I do think that it contributes to my well-being. But $200 a year is a lot to swallow. So after that, my yearly spend was up to $440. And my next order was the order that I placed because I had run out of my Belif True Cream Aqua Balm already. I needed another night cream, and I ordered the Korres Wild Rose Sleeping Facial, one of my all-time favorite sleeping masks. However, in retrospect, it was a bad choice. The Korres Wild Rose Sleeping Facial is $48, and I had just gone through another sleeping cream in a month and a half. I had no reason to believe that this product was going to last any longer than a month and a half either. It just turns out that that's about how fast I go through a regular sized jar of moisturizer for use in the evenings. A $48 moisturizer lasting a month and a half or 2 months, that's about $300 a year, and that is way too much. At this point in the year, I still hadn't quite twigged to the fact that I was spending kind of a lot of money at Sephora, even though it was my no-buy year. So I felt I would treat myself to the Korres Wild Rose Sleeping Facial, and then when it ran out a month and a half later, I started to wonder if maybe I was spending too much on that category of product. Spoiler alert, I was. So at that point, my yearly spend was up to $488, and the next thing I did after that was I placed another order for Shiseido facial cottons. And in that order, I did something that I've told you all not to do, which is that I ordered backups. And when I placed that order, and I was thinking about how quickly I felt like I had gone through my first packet that year, which actually hadn't been that quickly. It had been a couple of months, but I felt like I had just zoomed through it. And it felt silly to just order one and then a month or two later order one more. So they're dry goods, they don't go bad, and I just went ahead and I ordered 4. I think I realized through this experience that my personal ban on buying backups doesn't extend to dry goods. I think it's a good idea to, in a reasonable manner, I'm not suggesting you buy 100 packets of Shiseido facial cottons, but I think it's a good idea to reasonably stock up on dry goods from time to time. I kind of think of it like you wouldn't go to the store and just buy 1 roll of toilet paper. I think that there are some things, totally non-perishable things, tools that you know that you will continue to use, that it makes sense to buy a couple of packets at a time. And so that's what I did with the Shiseido facial cottons. I spent $40 on them, and that brought my yearly spend up to $528. All right, we're well into the year at this point. Most of the way through May, it was time to replace my favorite skincare product, my powerhouse, one that I truly depend on, and that is the C-Firma Day Serum. Now this is interesting because I think of the C-Firma Day Serum as one of my big ticket items. It is expensive, it's $80, but when I priced it out, it lasts about 5 months. That's about $170 a year. And this product, C-Firma Day Serum, is so much more important to me and so much more powerful to me than my night moisturizers, for example, that I was a little bit shocked to realize that even with daily use, this product prices out to under $200 a year. Whereas all of those night moisturizers I was buying were pricing out to $300, $400, $500 a year. Those are not worth it. I need to find a cheaper alternative for those, but C-Firma is absolutely and unequivocally worth it to me. I'm more than happy to pay $170 a year to use this product. So my total after that was up to $608, and the next thing I did was that I had to replace my vitamins again. So I ordered another package with my vitamins, and in that package I added a little mini of a setting spray. I had run out of setting spray and I wanted to try the Coverfx Illuminating setting spray. So I bought a mini for $15. I actually loved that product. If money were no object, I would totally have a collection of setting sprays and that product would totally be one of them. But I went through it really fast. It's not worth pricing out, I don't think, because it's a mini. It's kind of hard to tell how it would price out. But I went through it unconscionably fast. I had to buy another setting spray very shortly after that, and now I have the other setting spray and I'm going through it really fast. I'm just learning that setting sprays, when I only have one bottle of setting spray, I go through it really fast. And I don't think I will ever buy another high-end setting spray again. Setting spray is definitely one of the sinkholes in my spending. I have identified that very clearly by looking at this chart. So my total was up to $648, and before I knew it, it was time to reorder my Perricone MD Photoplasma. So that was another $75, bringing my yearly spend up to $723. We're starting to see how I got myself into this VIB Rouge situation now, aren't we? That was at the end of May. My next purchase was towards the beginning of June. It was another clear replacement. I had run out of brow gel and I had to repurchase my Givenchy brow gel. So that was another $27, bringing my yearly total up to a clean $750. At the end of June, I placed an order for $127. This was an order that had 3 things in it. One was the aforementioned setting spray. It was the Smashbox Primer Water. And the other 2 were my Sunday Riley oils. I had run out of both of them at the same time. They're both staples in my skincare routine. Each one is a category unto itself, and so they needed to be replaced. Just like C-Firma, I think of these 2 oils as 2 of my big ticket items. They are expensive. I buy the half-size bottle and one is $55 and one is $40. But when it came time to replace them, I was able to go back and figure out how long these little bottles last. And it turns out that they last 6 months. 6 months! I think of them as being so expensive because when I have to order them together, it costs me over $100. But when I went ahead and priced them out, I realized that Luna is costing me $110 a year, totally worth it for a retinoid oil, and UFO is only costing me $80 a year, totally worth it for a salicylic acid oil. As more brands start to develop oil products like this, oils that have heavy hitting ingredients in them, I might be interested in trying out alternatives to these, but I'm not as eager to do that as I thought I might be, because it turns out that these aren't the products that are sinkholes in my Sephora spending. I'm totally fine with how much they're costing me per year. The setting spray, as I mentioned before, is another story. This bottle cost $38 and I'm almost already halfway through it. That prices out to $228 a year. Absolutely not worth it. My next order was at the beginning of July. It was for $50 and I reordered my vitamins and I ordered the Laneige sleeping water mask thingy. It's a night cream by Laneige, is $25. At this point, I was on the hunt for a less expensive sleeping mask, and this is the one I decided to try. I'm not sure how long it will last. I've mentioned this before, but because of its consistency, I expect that it might actually last me longer than the jars of cream that I was using. If that's the case, then it might end up being worth it. But at this point, I actually think that I want to aim even lower for a sleeping cream. I'm looking for something that I really love that's well under $20, if not under the $15 mark. At this moment, I was at $927 for my total spend. And predictably, my next order after that was the one that pushed me over the edge. But my next order after that was also a gift. My other cousin had her birthday, and I sent her a package from Sephora as well. I spent $88 on her. So that $88 birthday gift brought my yearly spend at Sephora up to $1,015. At that point, I had technically made rouge. Since then, I've placed one more order. I ran completely out of primer, which was pretty exciting. It took 7 months, but I got through all of my remaining primers in my collection, and I was able to repurchase a primer. I purchased the Urban Decay Optical Illusion Complexion primer. It was $36, and my current yearly total of spending at Sephora is $1,051. So if you subtract the $200 that I spent on my cousins and the $75 that I spent on vitamins, then my yearly spend so far for replacements is $776. So that's not quite rouge level, but it's still a lot. That's still a lot for 7 months into a no-buy year. And that means that if I spend the same amount in the second half of the year, I'll be approaching $1,500 for my yearly spend on replacing staple products. That is so much money. Now, I might not spend as much in the second half of the year. I actually don't think I will. A lot of these products are gonna last most of the way, if not all of the way through the rest of the year. So I'll be surprised if I spend another $700 during the last 6 months of the year. Overall, this has been a huge wake-up call. I am all about taking good care of my skin, and I'm all about investing in taking care of my skin. I think it's really important. It's not something I skimp on. I believe in the value of good skincare, and I know that a lot of really good skincare costs a lot of money. But I don't want to be spending this much on my staple items. I don't want my skincare routine to cost $1,500 a year. It's horrifying that those words even just came out of my mouth. So here are the major lessons that I learned from this exercise. Number one, I have been way overspending on moisturizers and cleansers. In my opinion, the cleanser category and the moisture category are the least important in terms of quality in skincare. I've always said that oils and serums are where you want to put your money, and on the front end and the back end of your skincare routine, those are where you can cut costs. You don't want to be putting a $50 moisturizer onto your face, because that's really just to seal in your more expensive and more effective products. It's not the thing that's the most effective. Cleansers, of course, you just use them to remove the dirt and makeup from your face, and then they get washed down the drain. So they don't have to have active and expensive ingredients in them. They just have to do their job. And those are the two categories that I use the most liberally and go through the most quickly. That's all been true this whole time, and yet at the beginning of the year, even partway through the year, I was out there spending $50 here and $50 there on cleansers and moisturizers. What was I thinking? I never sat down and did the math to realize that spending that much on a moisturizer or that much on a cleanser was costing me hundreds and hundreds of dollars a year. Upwards of $400, $500, $600 a year for those cleansers and moisturizers, because each jar or bottle would only last me a month or a month and a half. Another thing I learned was that some of the items that I considered to be my big ticket items, my really, really pricey skincare items, aren't actually costing me as much as I thought. Drunk Elephant's C-Firma Day Serum, Sunday Riley Luna Oil, and Sunday Riley UFO Oil, I always think of them as being my most pricey skincare, but when you price them out over the course of a year, they're definitely not. Another thing I learned is that good jeans costs a lot. Good jeans costs a lot. It doesn't price out as well as the C-Firma Day Serum and those oils. I go through it faster, I think, than I would like to, and so I have to decide, am I going to stop buying it and buy another lactic acid serum instead, or am I going to use it less liberally and make it last longer? I need to decide. Right now it's costing me too much for comfort, and so there has to be a change in that department. The sunscreen. The sunscreen is uncomfortably expensive, and I will be happy if I discover an alternative someday. So using this information, I made a little list of ways that I can cut down on the overall cost of my staple products. And here's what the list says. I can cut costs, and I plan to cut costs by finding a night moisturizer that is less than $15 a jar, finding a drugstore setting spray that sells at a low price per ounce, finding a good oil cleanser or balm that's under $20 a bottle, preferably under $15 a bottle, cutting my Shiseido facial cottons in half and reaching for them less often and treating them more like the precious jewels that they are. And lastly, maybe finding an alternative to the brow gel that I currently use, the $27 brow gel. If I can't find something that works just as well, I'll stick with the one that I'm using, but I'm going to keep an eye out. And of course, my luxurious sunscreen is not on the chopping block quite yet, but it is something that I will give serious thought to replacing with a lower priced item. And that is it. That is how I have renewed my VIB Rouge status, only halfway through my no-buy year. When you take a look at the actual numbers, it makes a lot of sense. But I do want to say before I sign off, I know that these are big numbers when you add them all up. And to some of you, it might seem like a scandalous amount of money, like a ridiculous amount of money for anyone to spend in a year on beauty products, let alone during a no-buy year. And to some of you, it might not seem like very much at all. When you think about it, $770 over the course of 7 months is just over $100 a month, which compared to my sordid past is an extremely modest budget. However, as you already know if you've watched my intro video, this past year Joe and I moved our small business to a big city and finances are very, very tight. So $100 a month is probably about all I really do have to spend on any kind of luxury. Looking at these numbers, I'm very, very glad that this is my no-buy year and that I'm not spending any more money than this. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that this was as thought-provoking for you as it was for me. And I hope you'll remember to take extra good care of yourself this week so that you can be the most effective version of yourself as you do your work in the world.